and he was able to reach a peace solution without war. If you look at it, for example, in terms of South...
And recently in the news, you would have read that Desmond Tutu has just got up and said he does not believe in a God that would persecute homosexuals.
Like Miami or a heat wave. Bounce back when they tell you no. Debate your greatness and flair and let them enjoy the show.
Now, it's obviously break off from the audience. We're going to get Ade to rebuttal. And then after that, we'll get David to, respond back to Ade. So please welcome Ade back onto the stage. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, I clearly understand what you were saying before, but my view is if, for example, we were to restrict religion, we'll be persecuting the very people we're trying to protect. I'll give you an example. In France, they banned the veils and the hijabs. From what I know about an hijab is what protects a woman and preserves a woman, making sure that she's not seen as an object, but she stays pure. But if we were to restrict them, which they have done, not only are you denying them of their identity, their personal autonomy, their emotional integrity has been compromised. So what are you doing? You're discriminating, you're segregating, and you're basically telling them they're not a part of society, that what they believe in, what they're doing is against society. But yet again, religion is like a national anthem of a nation. And if you were to remove a national anthem of a nation, does that nation maintain its identity? No, it doesn't. Because what would you be able to identify the nation if what makes the nation itself has been denied? I'll take you another walk with me. If we restrict religion, it's going to cause a legal headache. I'm not even trying to give you all legal jargon, but it's relevant to what I'm trying to argue. For example, the veils that have been removed now. Article 9 of the European Convention of Human Rights clearly states that we have the right of religion. You have the right to express your religion. And what is currently happening in society is denying people of their religion. And when it goes to court, this is going to happen. This is going to cause a headache. And it's going to be me and your taxes that are going to be able to pay for those cases, because most people don't know most cases that are taken is through the tax system that it gets reduced. And there's going to be more and more cases. Just like Article 19 says that we have the right of freedom of expression. You can express yourself in any way. We're trying to restrict religion, but yet again, the BNP and the EDL are being put on a platform and we see them live on TV and we have to tolerate them. But yet again, no one says nothing. But yet again, it's religion that we seem to be focusing on. Just like Article 14 says that you can't discriminate against anyone, even in religion, race. But yet again, we're trying to discriminate. It's like what the lady said. People will use whatever to justify whatever. It's like a devil in a sheep's cloth. In a sheep's cloth. They're misinterpreting the Quran, the Bible, to suit their own personal gains. Because I honestly believe that these same people, they know what is right. Like, for example, I'm not Muslim and I'm not trying to Bible bash or throw the Quran at you. But the Quran says in chapter 2 of verse 190, it says, do not go beyond your limits because God does not like transgressors. It says in chapter 5 that God does not like people who slay people, because if you slay one person, you're slaying the whole population, which is clearly stated. Even in chapter 9, it says, if your enemy comes to you with peace, come with them to peace. It clearly states this. And if you were to deny religion, the same people who you'll be persecuting those very vulnerable people, and you will be starting a war. That is when a war will be started. That is when radicalization will start. That is when you're throwing fire in society. And religion, yes, religion does fight against injustice. That is one thing religion fights against. Because religion doesn't allow a man to accept an injustice. And I ask you, if someone comes to your house and removes that very thing in society that makes your house, would you be happy? Wouldn't you take action? The International Journey of America Psychiatry asked 330 people an open question. What helped you in hospital to survive? They said religion. 42.3% said it. In the American Journal of Psychiatry again, they asked 33 elderly people who suffered of a hip fracture, What helped you to cope and reduce depression? They said religion. And I'll ask every single one of you, whether it be your swagger, whether it be your hair, if someone told you to change what makes you your very self and was to deny you that, would you be happy, or would you be down 10 Downing Street and saying, Cameron, it's conflict? Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to just keep on looking down at my notes as I go along. But the way I see this debate, ladies and gentlemen, is the way I see the debate about guns. Guns are something that don't kill people by themselves, ladies and gentlemen. If I left a gun on the side, it would do nothing. It takes a person with evil intention to pick up that gun and shoot somebody, ladies and gentlemen. What I would prefer is a world in which guns have never existed. Guns has never created an ability to kill hundreds upon hundreds of innocent people. Guns have never been used in evil ways, ladies and gentlemen. What I see is the same with religion. So what I think, there is spirituality and believing in a higher power. I have absolutely no problem with that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think anyone on my team has a problem with that. The problems we have are with the problems of people using these institutions, using these ideas to justify their own personal beliefs. So what we see is then we see religions forming around ideas and ways of thinking, such as the Catholic Church, such as, such as the Church of England. This is problematic. We've just heard from the previous speaker that what would happen if we remove religion now is we would start a war. I am not sure if I disagree with him here. I think it is probably a bad idea for anyone in this room to attempt to remove religion now. But what this debate is about whether we think religion was something that is good or is bad. In the same way, I can have a debate about fire, and I can talk about all of the good things that fire brings you in terms of it allows you to make toast, and all of the bad things that fire brings you in that it burns you, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm trying to say is that in a world without fire, less people would have been burnt, and that is good. So where do I go with this, ladies and gentlemen? What am I talking about? I'd like to respond to the audience here in terms of people would use other justifications. People who are bad and have bad intentions would use other justifications. Yes, they would. I'm perfectly happy to accept that. But because of the way religion defines itself, because religion says I have an ability to access who God is in a way that you as an individual don't, it allows the person who is talking to say, listen to me, you can never engage with me on a rational level. You can never say these things are right, these things are wrong. It also allows that person to define who are outsiders to that group. So the ability to call somebody a heretic is one of the most powerful weapons that the Catholic Church has and is used to disenfranchise large groups of the population. So whilst we say religion can do good and can do bad, what it is based on is it's based on books which are now almost 2,000 years out of date, ladies and gentlemen. They are important as a way of assessing things, but we also have to remember that they are in somewhat contradictory, and people can take out the opinions they want to take out from them and say, I know what is right. So the Pope's stance on condoms is something that is responsible for almost 2 million deaths of AIDS a year, because the Pope gets up there and he says, if you wear a condom, you will not get into heaven, ladies and gentlemen. So therefore, every death that has caused is something we can lay solely at the feet of religion. I don't think it's much to ask to say, look, religion is bad, ladies and gentlemen. We also talk about other individuals who get up and say, I have access to God.
1 minute to go.
That thing always surprises me when it comes on. There are other individuals who do the same thing. In fact, we say quite a lot of religious institutions do the same thing. The act of terrorism is something that most rational people would never consider. I would never consider killing myself and killing large numbers of civilians. But because people are able to use the language of a religion, because people are able to get up and say, you will never get into heaven, you will never suffer, you will never be part of eternal bliss, and you will suffer eternal damnation. This convinces people who otherwise would have thought quite normally about a situation and gone, I probably don't want to blow myself up, and change them, ladies and gentlemen, because there is something that they are being offered that no one else can offer. I'm just going to stand here and enjoy the last couple of seconds of this countdown. I want to thank you for listening to me today, ladies and gentlemen.
Well done, thank you. Thank you very much, David. Thank you, Ade. Right. Does religion cause more harm than good? I think one of the most important things to look at is the delivery of the debate, delivery of facts, whether they're actually valid or not, and also, the emphasis that's based on religion. What are we really talking about? So what we're going to do now is go over to the guest judges, get them to critique both the responses and the original debate. So we'll start with Ramon. Ramon, what was your thoughts, sir?
Well, Ade, I would like to just commend you for kicking off the Flair Debate Show today. It's not an easy topic, and you stood your ground. Let's see, I have some notes. So, initially you started off with, religion as being perceived as the devil in sheep's clothing, and then you took it to the GPRS destination. Religion can take a lost soul to their ideal destination, followed by peace and war. So, I was a bit confused on the points you were trying to make overall. And it was still a good debate overall, but again, just a bit confused from the standpoint in which you were trying to make.
I'll move over to Katie.
Okay.
Katie, what was your opinion on Ade?
Perfect. Ade, I think you have a remarkable sense of poise about you, actually. It's not an easy thing to stand up and give a speech like that in front of a room full of people. I've really got a sense of passion. It was an understated passion from you. You're a religious man? Yeah, that came across to me fully. And I really like the analogies that you use to express your point, religion being the heart of a man, and really painting those pictures so that we could really sense, what you were about in your argument. As Ramon said, you did fantastically to kick off the debate, and so much so, David picked up on some of your analogies and carried them on. So clearly your points were clear in that respect. If I was going to critique, one thing that I did write down possibly links into Ramon's comment. With the structure, you led on to some really interesting points. Maybe think about giving a profound statement to introduce a new point so that we can follow that thread that was there. With you, and that will enable you to stick to the question more and link back. But all in all, a real passion came across, and I really enjoyed listening to you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Travis.
Cool. First of all, I just want to ask, am I talking to Ade only right now?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, cool. Listening to your speech, your first speech, both speeches, first thing I got was your passion for the subject was, it was genuine. But what I liked was the fact that you didn't kind of narrow it down to your own religion. Are you a Christian? You didn't narrow it down to Christianity. You showed that you've researched. That throughout your whole speech, it was just showed that you've done a lot of research. You'll find out a lot of statistics, especially when you're talking about the fact that 7% of wars have used kind of religion as the engine. I kind of like that fact that you've obviously dug in. Whereas I felt like the direction was more stat heavy as opposed to there was a real kind of linear kind of stream of process. It just seemed like you were firing a lot of statistics, and they obviously backed up your point, but it just seemed like it's just a bunch of stats right now. You know what I mean? This information isn't really kind of put together in any kind of way. So I did get lost from time to time, but overall it was a very good speech.
Thank you very much, Travis. We'll move on to David. I'll start with Ramon. David, what was your thoughts on his delivery and argument?
David was definitely entertaining. He made me laugh a few times, so that checks off one of the criterias. David hit on some strong points. He had a lot of historical references to the impact of religion and war. He also talked about how God is bigger than science and how science can't define God. Nothing can define God. It's way beyond anyone's belief. So it talks and hits more upon the spiritual side of the creator versus the religious side of the Creator. So I think that David did a pretty good job of sticking to the guns of his debate.
Thank you very much. Katie?
Hi. I think what struck me, David, you've clearly very keen debater, and you've developed a very unique ladies and gentlemen style, which I really enjoyed, honestly. You put some really strong opinions across. You expressed yourself really eloquently. And what I thought was really nice was the fact that you were very present to being here, to the audience. You were clearly listening to the points that Addy was making and building upon them. So I thought that was a really nice touch. And your example of colonialism in your first speech where you kicked off, I mean, I've written down that it's a really profound example, quite a brave one really to use. And I wasn't sure I agreed with the direction you were going with it, which, again, it's not important. It was you expressing your point. But I think you really, really pulled that back and really enabled yourself to stick to the question and revisit the question in your rebuttal. And I think you did that fantastically and got people in the audience talking and discussing and picking up on a point, which is what makes a great debate. So I thought you did brilliantly.
I have to agree on that one. Thank you very much, Katie. Travis?
I'd say you've got great stage presence. I mean, I really did enjoy your speech for entertainment value alone. Good rhetoric. Also, I like the fact that your argument was very, very measured, because maybe you had an advantage because he went first, but you were able to draw from a lot of his points and then counter them. So you kind of can't disagree because you've openly proved that he's wrong. Whereas obviously I disagree with your standpoint. However, I was with you listening right to the end, and I kind of questioned myself from time to time. So I definitely have to give you that. Also, I'd say that, again, like what I said about Ade, your research was just on point. I mean, the fact you firing out stats, certain kind of historical references, but they all tied in to your stream of process, which I definitely thought was amazing. So yeah, well done.
Thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for the...
Like Miami or a heat wave. Bounce back when they tell you no.
Right, what we're going to do is kick on with the debates. We're going to go into the round that I'm hoping you all will welcome. It's the Flair round.
Yo, thank you. I want to start. We need to know that enemies. Religion causes harm, and it can't be so heavenly. Harmful preaching, positive energy. I just think people be the remedy. I just think people be the remedy. I just think people be the remedy. Harmful preaching, positive energy. I just think people be the remedy. Is religion harmful? Used to dodge religion, but only because I'm artful. Now I'll give a chance to advance you. I'm religious, but nah, it don't harm me. It all depends on the person if you ask me. Heard it's doing kids harm, polluting the minds cause they're preaching bad Islam. Words that are this calm can be misinterpreted. Now someone's getting discharged. Does it do harm? Nah, that is corny, cause it all depends on who's telling the story or reading the scriptures, making it sound corny, for or against, but really, are you sure, G? So slowly but surely, how can I be hurting? In church, I don't even practice what I'm learning. It's cause I ain't perfect, still soul searching. Religion's an excuse and it needs to stop working. Can't remember the last time I went church, but I am what I am and I am not hurt. Ain't no mistaking it. I believe in one God. But in discussions, I'm an atheist because people preach well and there's others that are faking it. People follow them, so now they're imitating it. People giving money, but only because they're making it. Them irritating pricks. On arms like what's worshipped by them Asian kids. I ain't trying to take the piss. Evil exists everywhere. This topic's dangerous. But the question is, will it change? I guess, will it change? People wage wars over feeble causes based on profit and land resources. They hang behind religion by saying it's holy. So they got kids on it quick, sort of like Coney. We need to know that enemies. Religion causes harm, then it can't. If religion causes harm, then it can't be heavenly. Harmful preaching, positive energy. I just think people be the remedy. I just think people be the remedy. I just think people be the remedy. Positive energy, harmful preaching. I just think it's the people, not religion, be.
Hi guys, I'm actually going to tell you a story today about how I feel about religion, and it kind of expresses my idea. And it starts off in a small town in this country, but I'm not going to tell you where. Maybe you can guess eventually. But it's about two girls. And from the very beginning, these girls, Hannah and Hayley, seemed destined to be friends. They were born in the same hospital, on the same day, in the same ward, and their mothers were in the beds next to each other. Only the problem was, this hospital didn't have a huge amount of beds free. It didn't have enough incubators for all the kids who'd been born that day. So Hannah and Hayley started off by sharing the very first thing that they had in this world, which was an incubator. They were both put in the same place, and they shared the very first warmth that this country could give to them. And then they were taken home, and they started to be brought up by their parents, but they lived nearby. So sooner or later, over the years, they saw each other a little bit, and they always kind of knew, because their parents told them that that was the kid that you shared your very first act of humanity with. They gave something that they had to you, and you gave something back. And that always kind of linked Hannah and Hayley. They always kind of loved each other as a result of that. And as they grew up, they saw each other more and more. They'd go around to each other's houses, but only when their parents were out. And they'd see each other sort of around and about in the shops and at the playground. But the problem was that they weren't from the same religion. So their parents weren't too pleased about this. Their parents believed in what they'd been told by their parents, and they'd been told that by their parents. And what they knew about the other people, the other religion, was that they were different. They weren't like us. And so every time when Hannah or Hayley would come home and say, "Oh, I saw Hannah or Hayley today and it was really good fun," they started off worried, and then they got a little bit angry, because they didn't want Hannah and Hayley to mix with each other. They didn't want them to mix with the other people, the people who didn't think like them, the people who they thought were going to hell. And they didn't want their daughters to get caught up in something weird and funny and alien and from the other side of town or the other side of the street or wherever. And so they started to tell Hannah and Hayley not to see each other anymore, because they believed the wrong things. And that didn't matter at first, that was fine. Hannah and Hayley didn't care. But over the years, every single day, every single Sunday, they were told that those other people on the other side of the road believed something different from them, and that they shouldn't be trusted, that those people were going to hell. And it all started fine, because Hannah and Hayley just didn't want each other to go to hell. So they started off by saying, you know what, maybe if you acted a little bit differently, maybe if you thought something slightly different, maybe if you behaved differently, maybe if you were a different kind of person, then you wouldn't go to hell. You wouldn't spend an eternity in the burning fires of damnation. Because they were worried about that, because they're kids, right? And kids believe in that stuff. But the only reason they were told that was because their parents were afraid of things that they didn't understand. They were afraid of people who were different from they are. And over the years, as Hannah and Hayley had these conversations, they got a little bit angrier with each other. Because every time you say that to somebody, every time you say what you believe is fundamentally wrong and will condemn you to an eternity in hell, that's an attack on that person themselves. And Hannah and Hayley both felt that. And they felt that every time they had that conversation with each other. And slowly, these two kids who'd shared that very first thing that they'd ever had with each other, who shared a birthday, who shared a hometown, who shared everything from the start, they drifted apart, and eventually they ended up hating each other. They ended up knowing only one thing about each other, and that's that that person believes that I am going to hell because of what I think. Ladies and gentlemen, religion teaches us to be different from each other. It teaches us not to trust each other, and it teaches us that everybody else believes something different from you and is wrong as a result. That's why I don't think it's very good.
Thank you. I'm not sure about Obama, but more Nick Clegg. But We're going to go straight to the guest judges. Ramon, so the Flair debaters, going to kick off with Matthew. What was your opinion on Matthew's delivery?
With Matthew, I thought it was excellent bars. You know, I liked it as a fan, but I just think he was off topic tremendously because it almost came as though he's from the standpoint of anti-religion. He said that religion is an excuse, people are the remedy, so it doesn't really champion the cause of religion as doing good. So I just think that, you know, it was great lyrics, but I think it totally missed the point.
Okay, thank you very much. Katie?
Hi. I find that really interesting, actually, because I've written down that I thought you were really on point. I mean, I noticed that you continually referred back to the idea, I'm not hurt. You know, I don't go to church, I am who I am, you know, I've got my religion within me, and I'm not hurt. You know, does religion do more harm than good? So I thought in that respect, you were on topic. Matthew, I'm a huge fan of conscious music, conscious rap music. There's a big surge of it in the UK at the moment. So I think in terms of you sitting and writing those bars and being conscious about the question you've got in mind is a fantastic foundation for you as a rapper. One thing I didn't really get, and I don't know if it was a confidence thing or if the bars were written quite recently, you were looking at your phone. I kind of wanted you to bring it a bit more, you know, like a bit more real confidence in what you were saying, because you had a real message there, and I think that you've got a brilliant talent, and I want to see real belief. You know, if you were to come up here again, maybe learn it by heart, maybe have a beat behind you and really kind of believe in yourself and sell your opinions a little bit more strongly. But really good lyrics, good foundation, well done.
Thank you, Katie. Travis?
Without trying to repeat what anybody else has said, I felt like your lyrics, like you're saying, very conscious. And I didn't actually agree with Ramon. I felt like you were kind of on point. It was more very specific to your experiences I got. But I feel like your performance let it down in the sense that you're reading it from the phone. Sometimes it seemed like it threw you off. And it's like, because those lyrics are so strong, it's not really light stuff you're talking about. It kind of just, I would have liked to have seen you be able to lose yourself and go all in it. That's just my only kind of criticism, but I did enjoy the content.
Thank you very much. One round of applause for Matthew, please. Now we come to James's unorthodox Flair delivery. Ramon.
With James, I thought he had a strong finish but a very slow start. I got lost a bit in the early stages of the story. I didn't know where it was going. But again, like I said, he kind of finished off strong. So I would have loved to see like a bit more transparency in the beginning of the story to tie it to the end of the story. Yeah.
Thank you, Ramon. Katie?
I'm still really quite sad. It was a horrible story. I mean, first up, really, James, am I right in thinking that this was a bit impromptu, that you were called in at the last minute? So in terms of, you know, final minutes, getting up there thinking, Flair, what is that? Fine, I'll deliver a story. I don't know if you got the story from somewhere or you made it up. So, I mean, props for that alone, really. You're clearly somewhat like David, a keen debater. You've got an eloquence about you, and you were able to get up with no prep time, no shoes, and deliver that. And I would like to have been a bit more entertained. It could have maybe been, I don't know, shorter in poem form. But, I mean, last minute, as it was, you were easy to listen to. It was very relevant and on point and very unique. The last thing I expected was a story. So, well done.
Sorry. Thank you, Katie. Travis?
Yeah, I mean, given the circumstances, because I knew beforehand what your situation with the fact that you just kind of found out today. So I kind of was a bit more patient with you in that respect. So, you know, it's very creative. For the fact that's not actually a story like you made up today. Well, off the top, I got to respect that. So, yeah, well done.
Nice one. Thank you. Round of applause for James. Thank you. Right. So, I'm going to throw this out to the audience once again. Any questions or any critique?
My name is Mario. What's your name again? What's your name again? James. The story you're making, yeah? Alright, cool. They're born together in the same hospital. They share something together. Now you said on Sundays, they go to two different places, across the road from each other, should be hating each other. I know you made it up on that, but please, I want to know a bit more. Could you be a bit more detailed with me now? Because really and truly, it's a Sunday, Christianity and Catholic don't see how they could be hating each other. And two, if Their parents told them shit. But cool, if they say something together, how can the parent all then change like that? Can you just clarify it for me, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. James?
The reason I chose that story, and the idea was, you know, that's more or less exactly what happens and has happened in places like Northern Ireland, where you have kids from, you know, very similar backgrounds, totally enmeshed communities, and it is literally, which side of the road are you on? You're either Protestant or you're Catholic. And if you're Protestant, you don't like those people, you never talk to them, you go to different schools, and your parents want you to avoid them at all costs. And the same is true, you know, on both sides, and it's, you know, often, it's probably a simplification, I'll admit, but it's purely driven down, you know, religious grounds, and it happens, you know, in the Muslim world as well, whether you're Shia, or whether you're Sunni, or, you know, all those kind of things. I mean, there's a reason why, you know, Iran and Saudi Arabia hate each other. It's because one's Shia and one's Sunni. And I think that's kind of the source for it. That was what got me thinking about that direction. It's not universally true, but it does happen quite a lot.
Nah, I just think it goes back to what the lady that was sitting here said and what the DJ said. You lot aren't touching on the difference between spirituality and religion, because that's just basically on someone's opinion, whereas spirituality, the foundation of most religions, is to love your neighbor and to love each other. So that's just the difference, but none of you seem to be touching on it like the DJ did say. So.
Hi, my name's Suraj. I think that's fair about the spirituality and faith, but the motion does say religion, and I guess the whole thing that everyone's talking about is how people get involved. And I personally, I think what's not being addressed is at what point you stop and say, this has been ruined too much by people and it needs to be closed down. Just like football hooliganism in the 80s, for example, that got sorted. So we didn't need to lose football to kind of continue enjoying it. We sorted the problem out. With the guns, yeah, you could say, but then that to me shows a lack of faith in humanity and being civil. I mean, you talk about Gandhi, and there's a well-known quote when he came to London and he got asked, you know, what's your opinion on Western civilization? He said he thinks it'll be a great idea. And I think that's true. I think it comes down to the people. And what would be good to hear in the next bit, I'm not sure if this is possible, but is that what you guys actually think, where you think, well, this is actually broken, and at what point you actually give people a little bit more faith and you think actually that this, like the football hooliganism or maybe gun crime, can be sorted.
Thank you very much. So please welcome her to the stage. Thank you very much. Ellen Marie.
It could all be so simple, but you rather make it hard. Loving you is like a battle, and we both end up with scars. Tell me who I have to be to get some reciprocity, 'cause no one loves you more than care for me. You said you care for me, there for me, there for me. Said you'd be there for me, cry for me, cry for me. You said you'd die for me, live for me, live for me. Why won't you live for me, care for me, care for me? You said you care for me, there for me, there for me. Said you'd be there for me, cry for me, cry for me. You said you'd die for me, live for me, live for me. Why won't you live for me? Oh,
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do an original. Oh, trembling, I don't know why. Yeah, this song is called Falling.
Please forgive me for not taking pity on you now. You're feeling lonely. It ain't my problem. You feel like it's all coming down. If you don't know it, then maybe you'd have stuck around. That you were gonna be a star. So won't you tell me where you are? A sound is coming from afar. You should have left the door ajar. Now you want me to catch you. Now you're falling. Cause now you're falling. Now you're falling. Yeah. And now you're falling. Ooh, yeah. And now you're falling. Oh. I can't believe it. I wasted way too many tries to help you through it. You called it friendship, but you always let me down. It came to it. So if I switch the roles around, you won't be nowhere to be found. So don't you dare come back around and wanted me to hold it down and wanted me to catch you. Now you're falling. And now you're falling. Cause now you're falling. Yeah. And now you're falling. Ooh, yeah. Now you're falling. No, no. You said you didn't need me, but clearly you do. Cause you're not good without me. And now you see it's true, but it's too late to pick it with me. Cause I know who you are and I don't wanna know you. Don't wanna know you. Now I said you didn't need me, but clearly you do. Cause you're not good without me. And now you see it's true, but it's too late to pick it with me. Cause I know who you are and I don't wanna know you. Don't wanna know you. Nah, 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 nah. Oh, yeah. Hey. Cause now you're falling. And now you're falling. Oh, ooh, yeah. Cause now you're falling. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Can I speak? I was just going to say, if you want to follow me on Twitter or Facebook, it's /Ella Marie Music. That's it. Thank you.
Well done. That was a very good performance. All our performances have been great today. I'm just in awe of all our performers. But before we go, it was your birthday recently, wasn't it? So what we're going to do is bring out a cake for Ella Marie. And if we can sing a happy birthday, please, all together. Happy birthday to you. Day to you. Happy birthday, dear Ella. Happy birthday to you. How old are you today? 34, no, I'm lying. Thank you very much. Excellent performance, thank you.
I want you to imagine a world where religion just never really happened.
We also tell you, when we look at history, for instance, that religious rhetoric has been used to justify colonization, and that is the problem.
People having sex, casual sex, make some noise. So you're in a relationship and you're having casual sex? My dog! Okay! That's audacity right there to just own that.
Heat like Miami or a heat wave. Bounce back when they tell you no. Debate your greatness and flair and let them enjoy the show. I'm always the first to step away when it's on or when it goes down. When it goes down. Even though I have it in me to change my life.